breaking news alert.
And that breaking news tonight at 6 o'clock. A bill aimed at making big utility companies like NES more accountable after disasters like January's deadly ice storm died this afternoon at the state capitol.
So it was filed a week after the storm left more than 230,000 people without power.
The bill didn't even make it out of committee. WSMV4 investigative reporter Stacey Cameron here with us. Stacey, the bill would have required utilities like NES to do a better job communicating during emergencies. So why did lawmakers vote this down?
Well, because some on the committee believe NES has already taken steps to put the bill's accountability and transparency mandates in their post-storm action plan. But Representative Jason Powell, who sponsored the bill, thinks the committee just let NES off the hook. Now, Powell, a Democrat who represents Nashville, had thousands of constituents still sitting in the dark and freezing for several weeks after the storm. So he wanted legislation that would require utilities like NES to deliver quick information to their customers during disasters and emergencies. Things like where they're working when the power goes out and a timeline for when the lights and heat will come back on. It also would mandate that NES and other utilities take steps to ensure that their grid has built-in resilience to hopefully prevent massive power failures like we saw this winter. But in the end, 4 members of the Business and Utility Subcommittee voted to kill it. Only 2 supported Powell's bill, and 3 lawmakers on that subcommittee, they didn't even bother to vote at all, killing Powell's bill and putting any added transparency for future storms solely in the hands of NES and other utility companies.